I'm Dr. Rachel Morgan, a psychiatrist with over 15 years of experience specializing in complex mental health disorders at the Evergreen Psychiatric Center. Throughout my career, I've encountered a vast spectrum of psychiatric conditions, from mood disorders to treatment-resistant psychoses. Yet, even with this extensive background, one case continues to challenge everything I thought I understood about the human psyche, a case so enigmatic that it defies conventional psychiatric explanations. Evergreen Psychiatric Center is a facility I've come to regard as a beacon of comprehensive psychiatric care and innovation. Nestled within a quiet, wooded area, the center is designed to offer a therapeutic environment conducive to healing, staffed by a multidisciplinary team committed to pushing the boundaries of mental health treatment. Our approach blends traditional psychiatric methods with the latest advances in neuropsychiatry, psychology, and social support systems. The center's reputation for handling severe and complex psychiatric cases is well-earned, but none have tested us quite like the patient who would come to define my professional journey in unexpected ways. Her name is Claire Donovan. I first met Claire on a rainy spring evening in 2015, a moment etched vividly in my memory. The weather outside seemed to mirror the storm that had engulfed her mind. Claire arrived as an emergency admission, escorted by her family and emergency responders, presenting with symptoms that immediately set her apart from the typical cases we handled. She exhibited sudden and intense dissociative episodes, punctuated by profound memory lapses that baffled even the most experienced members of our team. Claire's presentation was perplexing. She would seem lucid and coherent one moment, only to slip into a state where she appeared detached from reality, unable to recall significant aspects of her own life. These episodes were not fleeting. They recurred unpredictably, lasting hours or even days, leaving her disoriented and frightened. What was especially confounding was the absence of any clear precipitating factors or identifiable neurological causes. Her cognitive functions during lucid intervals were intact, yet the gaps in her memory and identity were profound. From our initial assessment, it was evident that Claire's case was far from straightforward. She had no prior psychiatric history, no documented trauma or substance abuse, and her neurological exams, including MRI and EEG studies, returned normal results. This lack of organic findings deepened the mystery. Our multidisciplinary team convened immediately, pooling expertise from psychiatry, neurology, neuropsychology, and social work in an attempt to unravel the complexity of her condition. Evergreen Psychiatric Center's treatment philosophy emphasizes a holistic and patient-centered approach. We integrate pharmacological interventions with psychotherapeutic strategies and place strong emphasis on family involvement and psychosocial support. Despite these resources and concerted efforts, Claire's psychological symptoms resisted easy classification. We were forced to confront the limits of our diagnostic frameworks. Her dissociative episodes resembled those seen in dissociative identity disorder, but her symptomatology also included psychotic features such as transient hallucinations and delusional thinking. This overlap complicated the clinical picture. The standard diagnostic criteria seemed inadequate, leaving us to navigate ambiguous territory. In our consultations, some team members speculated about rare or atypical psychiatric syndromes, while others proposed that her symptoms might represent a novel manifestation of trauma-related pathology, albeit without any reported trauma history. As the lead psychiatrist overseeing Claire's care, I found myself deeply engaged and, at times, unsettled by the case. It challenged not only our clinical skills but also the very theoretical underpinnings of psychiatric diagnosis and treatment. The patient in front of me was not just an individual suffering from mental illness. She was a puzzle that resisted all attempts to be neatly categorized or understood through conventional paradigms. One of the most striking aspects of Claire's presentation was her apparent awareness of her condition. During lucid moments, she expressed confusion and distress about the episodes she experienced, which paradoxically made her condition all the more poignant. She was caught in a liminal space, aware of her fragmented consciousness yet powerless to control or predict its shifts. This dynamic added a profound human dimension to her clinical profile, reminding the treatment team that beyond the symptoms lay a person grappling with a fractured sense of self. Evergreen's team quickly mobilized to create a supportive therapeutic environment tailored specifically to Claire's needs. We designed a schedule-balancing structured therapy sessions with rest periods to accommodate her fluctuating mental states. Our social workers worked closely with her family, educating them about dissociation and psychosis, and providing strategies to support Claire during her most difficult episodes. Psychologists introduced cognitive behavioral techniques aimed at grounding her during dissociative states, while our nursing staff maintained vigilant observation to ensure her safety. Despite these comprehensive efforts, Claire's symptoms persisted with a stubborn intensity. We witnessed episodes where she would speak in different voices, sometimes referring to identities unfamiliar even to her family. At other times, she reported vivid sensory experiences that defied easy explanation. These phenomena were not only rare but also deeply unsettling for those involved in her care. Throughout this process, I was struck by the limits of our current psychiatric knowledge. Claire's case exposed gaps in our understanding of dissociation, identity, and the mind's capacity for fragmentation. It raised questions about the interplay between psychological trauma, neurobiology, and consciousness itself. Could there be mechanisms at work beyond the scope of existing diagnostic manuals? Was Claire's experience an extreme manifestation of known disorders, or something entirely new? The case also highlighted the profound importance of interdisciplinary collaboration. We engaged neurologists to rule out subtle brain dysfunctions, neuropsychologists to conduct exhaustive cognitive assessments, and even consulted experts in rare psychiatric conditions worldwide. Each perspective added layers of insight but no definitive answers. This collective uncertainty was difficult to accept but also humbling, reminding us that mental health is a domain where science and mystery often coexist. Claire's resilience became a source of inspiration amidst these challenges. Despite the disruptive and frightening nature of her symptoms, she remained engaged in her treatment. She attended therapy sessions when able, communicated openly about her experiences, and maintained a fragile hope for recovery. Her family's steadfast support was equally vital, providing emotional anchors that helped ground her during turbulent episodes. As the weeks progressed, I found myself reflecting deeply on the nature of psychiatric care itself. Claire's case forced me to reconsider the boundaries of diagnosis and the importance of embracing uncertainty in clinical practice. It was a powerful reminder that mental health disorders are not always neatly defined entities but complex phenomena that may transcend our current frameworks. In the quiet moments after long days of clinical meetings and therapy sessions, I often pondered the enigmatic nature of Claire's condition. Her presence challenged me to remain open-minded, curious, and compassionate, qualities essential for all clinicians navigating the intricate landscape of human consciousness and mental illness. This was only the beginning of a journey that would test the limits of psychiatry, push the boundaries of medical understanding, and ultimately deepen my appreciation for the profound mysteries of the human mind. Evergreen Psychiatric Center is much more than a treatment facility. It's a carefully crafted therapeutic environment where a multidisciplinary team works tirelessly to support individuals facing the most severe psychiatric challenges. The center's ethos centers around collaboration, innovation, and creating spaces that nurture healing beyond the clinical walls. From our specialized therapy rooms bathed in natural light to quiet meditation gardens, every detail is designed to promote stability and encourage recovery. The team comprises psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers, occupational therapists, and nurses, all united by a singular mission: to provide comprehensive care that addresses the biological, psychological, and social dimensions of mental illness. This integrated approach is especially vital when cases defy easy explanation, demanding nuanced understanding and flexible treatment strategies. It was within this setting that I first met Claire Donovan, a patient whose presence would come to define many of my most challenging professional moments. That rainy spring evening in 2015 remains vivid in my mind. The gray skies and pattering rain outside the center seemed to foreshadow the storm of complexity we were about to face. Claire was admitted under emergency conditions, brought in by her family after a sudden and alarming episode of dissociation that left her unresponsive and confused. From the moment she arrived, it was clear that Claire was unlike any patient we had seen. She appeared fragile yet alert, her eyes reflecting a deep confusion. She struggled to articulate her experience, often pausing as if grappling with a fog that obscured her own identity. In those early hours, she recounted episodes where she felt as if her mind was shifting or disappearing, moments when entire stretches of time were lost from her memory. These were not isolated incidents but had begun occurring with increasing frequency and intensity over the preceding weeks. Our initial assessment revealed a constellation of symptoms that defied straightforward categorization. Claire's dissociative episodes were profound. She would sometimes speak in voices that did not sound like her own, recount memories she could not place as her own experiences, and at times, exhibit behaviors characteristic of different identities. Yet, there was no history of trauma or abuse which often underpins dissociative identity disorder. Neurological exams, including high-resolution MRI scans and continuous EEG monitoring, yielded no abnormalities, no signs of seizures, lesions, or structural brain damage. The multidisciplinary team convened quickly, each member bringing their expertise to bear on the perplexing case. Psychologists conducted detailed mental status exams and administered an array of neuropsychological tests designed to probe cognitive functioning and memory integrity. Social workers explored Claire's background, interviewing family members and close friends to piece together a psychosocial narrative. Neurologists reviewed her imaging and electrophysiological data in search of subtle abnormalities that might explain her symptoms. Despite these exhaustive efforts, no definitive organic or psychological cause emerged. Claire's presentation challenged us to think beyond conventional diagnostic boxes. The overlap of dissociative symptoms with intermittent psychotic features, such as auditory hallucinations and transient delusional thoughts, blurred the lines between distinct psychiatric entities. This ambiguity sparked lively debates within the team, with some proposing rare syndromes or novel psychiatric phenomena, while others urged caution against premature conclusions. In the context of Evergreen Psychiatric Center's culture, such complexity was met not with frustration but with a commitment to adapt and expand our understanding. The center's infrastructure facilitated continuous dialogue among disciplines, fostering an atmosphere where unconventional ideas could be explored respectfully. Case conferences became forums for brainstorming, integrating clinical observations with emerging research from neuropsychiatry and trauma studies. Claire's initial days at the center were marked by careful observation and gentle engagement. Our nursing staff ensured her safety during episodes when she appeared disconnected or confused, while therapists worked to establish rapport and trust. We introduced grounding techniques and reality orientation exercises to help her navigate the disorienting shifts in consciousness. However, these interventions yielded only limited success. The dissociative episodes would still emerge unpredictably, sometimes triggered by seemingly innocuous stimuli, other times without clear cause. One particularly striking moment came during a group therapy session, where Claire suddenly began speaking in a voice markedly different from her own. The other patients and staff were startled, and I recall feeling a mixture of professional intrigue and emotional concern. Claire's demeanor shifted entirely, her posture and speech patterns transforming as if embodying another person. When the episode subsided, she expressed confusion and remorse, unsure of what had transpired. This incident underscored the profound fragmentation of her sense of self and the complexity of her inner world. Throughout this period, Claire's family played an essential role in her care. They were a source of emotional strength and stability, despite their own distress and confusion. I met with them regularly, providing education about dissociation and psychosis, and helping them develop strategies to support Claire during episodes. Their unwavering commitment reminded me of the indispensable role families play in psychiatric treatment, especially when patients face conditions that challenge understanding. The therapeutic environment at Evergreen proved crucial in managing Claire's fluctuating mental state. Our team emphasized creating a routine that balanced structured activities with rest, acknowledging the toll her episodic dissociation took on her cognitive and emotional reserves. We incorporated mindfulness practices and relaxation techniques to help her develop coping skills. Although her ability to engage varied with her mental state, Claire's case also prompted us to explore emerging diagnostic frameworks and treatment modalities. We consulted recent literature on dissociative disorders with psychotic features, and investigated the potential role of trauma-related neuroplasticity, even in the absence of reported trauma. Some theories proposed that undiagnosed or repressed adverse experiences might underpin her symptoms, while others speculated about neurobiological dysregulation involving brain regions responsible for identity integration and memory. Despite these efforts, certainty remained elusive. Claire's condition was a riddle wrapped in layers of psychological and neurobiological complexity. As her primary psychiatrist, I found myself navigating uncharted territory, balancing clinical rigor with humility in the face of the unknown. What stood out most during this phase was Claire's profound vulnerability and courage. Despite the frightening nature of her symptoms, she remained engaged with treatment and expressed a sincere desire to understand and regain control over her mind. Her willingness to confront such a bewildering internal experience was a testament to her resilience. The early weeks at Evergreen were a whirlwind of discovery and adaptation. Claire's case forced our team to continuously reassess our assumptions and remain open to new perspectives. It was a lesson in the importance of patience and persistence when faced with psychiatric phenomena that elude clear explanation. As I reflect on those first days and weeks, I recognize that Claire's introduction to Evergreen Psychiatric Center marked the beginning of a journey that would challenge not only her own recovery but also the boundaries of psychiatric knowledge. Our team was united in the commitment to walk alongside her through this uncertain path, guided by empathy, curiosity, and an unwavering determination to uncover answers hidden within the complexities of the human mind. From the outset of Claire Donovan's admission, it was clear that conventional diagnostic categories could barely contain the breadth of her symptoms. Our initial working diagnosis settled on dissociative identity disorder, given the presence of distinct states of consciousness and identity shifts. However, the clinical picture was complicated by overlapping psychotic features, transient hallucinations and delusions that defied neat compartmentalization. This diagnostic ambiguity demanded a flexible and comprehensive treatment plan, one that could address the multifaceted nature of her condition. Our multidisciplinary team at Evergreen Psychiatric Center swiftly formulated an initial treatment strategy that combined pharmacotherapy with psychotherapeutic interventions. The pharmacological approach aimed to stabilize mood, reduce psychotic symptoms, and alleviate anxiety that often accompanied Claire's dissociative episodes. We initiated a low-dose atypical antipsychotic to target her transient psychotic symptoms, alongside a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor to address underlying mood disturbances and anxiety. Medication regimens were carefully titrated, balancing efficacy with tolerability, given Claire's sensitivity to side effects. Concurrently, we embarked on a psychotherapeutic journey grounded in cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. Our psychologists worked closely with Claire to develop techniques that could help her recognize and manage dissociative symptoms, grounding strategies to anchor her during episodes of depersonalization, and cognitive restructuring to challenge distorted beliefs formed during psychotic states. These sessions were tailored to her fluctuating capacity for engagement, often requiring flexibility and patience from both therapist and patient. Despite these concerted efforts, Claire's symptoms persisted with a stubborn resilience. The dissociative episodes continued to interrupt her sense of continuity, often intensifying in frequency and duration. The psychotic features waxed and waned unpredictably, sometimes erupting without clear provocation. This pattern of symptom fluctuation presented a profound challenge for the treatment team, as it undermined the stability we hoped to achieve and complicated the therapeutic alliance. Pharmacologically, Claire exhibited a mixed response. While certain medications alleviated some psychotic symptoms, others brought intolerable side effects, necessitating frequent adjustments. The delicate balance between symptom control and quality of life became a daily negotiation. Psychotherapeutic interventions, though initially promising, were often disrupted by sudden episodes that left Claire unable to participate fully. This cyclical pattern of progress and relapse created a sense of frustration and helplessness among caregivers and clinicians alike. Throughout this period, we maintained rigorous monitoring protocols to ensure Claire's safety and to track symptom trajectories. Nursing staff provided continuous observation during acute episodes, employing de-escalation techniques when necessary to prevent harm. The care environment was adapted dynamically to minimize triggers and accommodate the unpredictable nature of her condition. Group therapy sessions, while beneficial for some patients, often proved too overwhelming for Claire during active phases, leading us to prioritize individualized support. The persistence of symptoms despite aggressive treatment prompted the team to revisit and expand our diagnostic considerations. We explored possibilities such as schizoaffective disorder with dissociative features, complex post-traumatic stress disorder manifesting atypically, and rare neuropsychiatric syndromes. This diagnostic uncertainty underscored the limitations of existing psychiatric nosology when confronted with cases that straddle multiple symptom domains. In parallel, we intensified efforts to understand the underlying mechanisms contributing to Claire's condition. Neuropsychological assessments were repeated to detect subtle cognitive shifts that might inform treatment adaptations. Functional neuroimaging was considered to explore brain activity patterns during dissociative and psychotic episodes, though logistical and ethical challenges limited the feasibility of such studies in an inpatient setting. Collaborations with external research centers were initiated to pursue advanced analyses, reflecting the team's commitment to unraveling this medical mystery. Throughout this arduous process, Claire remained remarkably cooperative and engaged when able, displaying a resilience that belied the turmoil within. She expressed both hope and despair, candidly sharing her fears about losing herself and the possibility of permanent fragmentation. These moments of vulnerability forged a deep therapeutic alliance, anchoring the treatment team's resolve amid the uncertainty. Family involvement continued to be an integral part of the therapeutic milieu. We facilitated regular family therapy sessions aimed at fostering understanding, improving communication, and providing emotional support. Claire's relatives, though distressed by her condition, demonstrated unwavering dedication and participated actively in care planning. Their insights into her premorbid personality and history were invaluable in contextualizing her symptoms and tailoring interventions. The complexity of Claire's condition also demanded attention to her physical health and overall well-being. Nutritional support, sleep hygiene, and physical activity were incorporated into her care plan, recognizing their importance in psychiatric recovery. Occupational therapists introduced structured activities designed to enhance cognitive functioning and promote engagement, adapting tasks to accommodate fluctuations in her mental state. Despite the challenges, there were moments of tentative progress. On rare occasions, Claire experienced brief intervals of clarity and stability, during which she could reflect on her experiences and participate meaningfully in therapy. These windows offered glimpses of hope, suggesting that recovery, while difficult, was not beyond reach. The team celebrated these milestones cautiously, aware of the fragile balance that could tip at any moment. As weeks turned into months, the persistent nature of Claire's symptoms weighed heavily on all involved. The oscillation between improvement and relapse tested the limits of our protocols and demanded constant adaptation. It became evident that traditional approaches, while necessary, were insufficient on their own to address the profound complexity of her condition. This realization spurred the team to explore integrative and novel therapeutic modalities. We began to consider adjunctive treatments such as mindfulness-based therapies, neurofeedback, and experimental psychopharmacological agents under compassionate use protocols. These options were approached with measured optimism, recognizing the need to balance innovation with patient safety and ethical responsibility. Throughout this phase, I found myself reflecting deeply on the nature of psychiatric illness and the interplay between mind and brain. Claire's case underscored the inadequacy of rigid diagnostic categories and the importance of individualized, patient-centered care. It challenged me as a clinician to maintain humility, adaptability, and empathy in the face of uncertainty. The persistent struggles with Claire's condition also illuminated the profound human cost of severe mental illness, not only for the patient but for families and care teams. The emotional toll was palpable, yet it also fostered a sense of shared commitment and resilience. We were united in our determination to provide Claire with the best possible care, even when outcomes remained unclear. In the midst of these challenges, Claire's strength and cooperation were a constant source of inspiration. Her willingness to engage with difficult therapies, her candidness about her experiences, and her intermittent glimpses of hope reminded us of the fundamental purpose of our work. It was a privilege to accompany her through this arduous journey, even as the path ahead remained uncertain. This phase of Claire's treatment at Evergreen Psychiatric Center was marked by relentless effort, ongoing adaptation, and profound learning. It set the stage for further exploration of her condition and the search for answers that would continue to challenge the boundaries of psychiatric understanding. As Claire Donovan's treatment progressed, it became increasingly clear that her mental state was not static but fluctuated in ways that confounded both clinical expectations and therapeutic interventions. Her episodes of dissociation and psychosis did not follow a predictable pattern. Instead, they waxed and waned with a capriciousness that rendered provisional symptom relief fleeting and often misleading. This instability challenged the entire team at Evergreen Psychiatric Center to rethink their approach to monitoring and managing her condition. The fluctuating nature of Claire's symptoms manifested in perplexing cycles. There were periods when she seemed almost stable, lucid, communicative, and engaged in therapy, only to be followed by sudden regressions into dissociative states marked by amnesia and altered identities. During these episodes, she might speak in unfamiliar voices or recount experiences that she could not consciously own. Psychotic symptoms, such as auditory hallucinations or paranoid delusions, would similarly appear and disappear without clear triggers. These oscillations defied the typical course seen in dissociative or psychotic disorders, complicating efforts to establish a consistent therapeutic rhythm. This volatility posed significant challenges in assessing treatment efficacy. Interventions that appeared beneficial during stable phases often failed to sustain their effects once symptoms resurged. It became evident that symptom improvement was not synonymous with recovery but could represent transient fluctuations inherent to her condition. This realization necessitated more nuanced interpretations of clinical progress, emphasizing the need for longitudinal observation and cautious optimism. To better understand the underpinnings of Claire's condition, we expanded our diagnostic investigations with exhaustive psychological testing and advanced neuroimaging, in close collaboration with neurologists and neuropsychologists. These efforts aimed to identify subtle neurocognitive deficits or structural brain abnormalities that might explain her complex symptomatology. Neuropsychological assessments were comprehensive, encompassing memory, attention, executive function, and emotional processing domains. Interestingly, these tests revealed inconsistent patterns. During lucid intervals, Claire's cognitive performance was within normal limits, yet during or after dissociative episodes, marked impairments emerged, particularly in working memory and temporal orientation. This suggested a dynamic dysfunction possibly linked to transient disruptions in neural connectivity rather than fixed structural pathology. Concurrently, high-resolution MRI scans and functional imaging studies were performed. Structural imaging failed to reveal any lesions, atrophy, or anomalies that could account for her symptoms. Functional MRI, fMRI, and positron emission tomography, PET, scans, undertaken during periods of relative stability, showed subtle alterations in brain regions implicated in self-referential processing and emotional regulation, such as the anterior cingulate cortex and medial prefrontal cortex. However, these findings were neither definitive nor specific enough to establish a causal link. Electroencephalogram, EEG, monitoring, conducted over extended periods, sought to detect epileptiform activity or other electrical abnormalities. These recordings remained largely unremarkable, aside from nonspecific slowing during acute episodes, which could be attributed to altered consciousness rather than seizure activity. Neurological consultations concurred that no overt neurological disorder was identifiable, reinforcing the psychiatric nature of her presentation. Beyond neurological investigations, we explored rare and atypical psychiatric conditions that might better encapsulate Claire's symptom profile. Consultations with experts in dissociative disorders, complex trauma syndromes, and neuropsychiatric research centers broadened our conceptual framework. Some hypotheses posited that Claire's symptoms might reflect a novel variant of dissociative disorder with psychotic overlap, while others suggested a potential neurodevelopmental or neurochemical dysregulation, yet to be fully understood. This ongoing search for explanations underscored the limitations of current psychiatric nosology. Claire's case straddled boundaries, challenging the categorical distinctions between dissociation, psychosis, and mood disorders. It demanded a dimensional and integrative approach, appreciating mental illness as a spectrum of overlapping phenomena influenced by biological, psychological, and social factors. Throughout these diagnostic endeavors, Claire's fluctuating condition required vigilant clinical management. Our team adapted monitoring protocols to capture symptom dynamics in real time, utilizing digital symptom diaries and continuous behavioral observations. This data collection informed treatment adjustments and helped anticipate episodes, albeit imperfectly. The unpredictable course of her illness also amplified the emotional and ethical complexities of care. Clinicians grappled with balancing hope and realism, striving to provide compassionate support without fostering false expectations. The team's resilience and cohesion were tested repeatedly, necessitating regular debriefings and supervision to process the challenges inherent in such a confounding case. Despite the diagnostic uncertainty, Claire's personal strength remained a constant beacon. She demonstrated remarkable insight during lucid phases, expressing frustration at her condition's capriciousness and a deep yearning for understanding and recovery. Her candid reflections about living with intermittent amnesia and identity shifts enriched clinical understanding and fostered empathy within the care team. Family involvement continued to be a cornerstone of care. Their observations helped contextualize symptom fluctuations and offered critical support during crises. Psychoeducation sessions equipped them with strategies to manage unpredictable behaviors and maintain a safe, nurturing environment. This partnership reinforced the biopsychosocial model underpinning Claire's treatment. The fluctuating nature of Claire's symptoms also inspired the team to explore emerging therapeutic modalities aimed at modulating brain function and enhancing resilience. Neurofeedback sessions were introduced to help Claire gain voluntary control over certain neural oscillations implicated in dissociation. Mindfulness-based therapies were adapted to her cognitive capacity, focusing on grounding and present moment awareness to mitigate episodes of detachment. While these approaches showed promise, their impact was variable and often limited by the severity and unpredictability of her symptoms. Nevertheless, they represented a hopeful frontier in treating complex psychiatric conditions that resist traditional interventions. Throughout this period, I was continually reminded of the vast unknowns in psychiatric medicine. Claire's case was a humbling testament to the intricacies of the human mind and the challenges of disentangling the threads of consciousness, identity, and neurobiology. It reinforced the necessity of patience, open-mindedness, and interdisciplinary collaboration in pursuing understanding and healing. The persistent oscillations in Claire's mental state, coupled with the absence of clear diagnostic markers, underscored the profound mystery at the heart of her condition. Yet, this mystery was not merely a clinical puzzle. It was a deeply human story of vulnerability, resilience, and the quest for self-coherence amidst fragmentation. As we continued to navigate this uncharted territory, our team remained steadfast in providing compassionate, individualized care, guided by the recognition that some psychiatric phenomena elude easy explanation but demand our unwavering commitment nonetheless. Claire's journey was teaching us to embrace uncertainty as an integral part of psychiatric practice and to honor the complexity of the human experience in all its enigmatic depth. Throughout Claire Donovan's prolonged and tumultuous journey at Evergreen Psychiatric Center, one of the most remarkable and inspiring aspects was her unwavering strength in the face of profound psychological adversity. Despite the relentless waves of dissociative episodes and psychotic manifestations that fragmented her sense of self, Claire consistently demonstrated a remarkable willingness to engage with her treatment, to confront the bewildering depths of her experience, and to endure the uncertainty that enveloped her diagnosis. Her resilience was not born of denial or avoidance but of a courageous acceptance of her reality. During lucid intervals, Claire would articulate her confusion and fear with poignant clarity, expressing a deep desire to reclaim coherence and stability. It was these moments of introspection and honesty that forged a powerful therapeutic alliance, enabling the treatment team to tailor interventions that honored her subjective experience, rather than imposing rigid structures ill-suited to her condition. Family support emerged as a vital pillar throughout this ordeal. Claire's relatives, though understandably shaken by the unpredictable nature of her illness, became steadfast advocates and sources of emotional grounding. They participated actively in family therapy sessions, seeking to understand the complexities of dissociative phenomena and psychosis, and learning strategies to support Claire during her most disorienting episodes. Their presence offered a tangible link to continuity and identity for Claire, anchoring her amid the internal fragmentation. The family's involvement went beyond emotional support. They contributed invaluable insights into Claire's premorbid personality, subtle behavioral changes preceding episodes, and triggers that might exacerbate symptoms. This collaborative exchange enriched the clinical picture, providing context that no test or observation alone could capture. It also reinforced the biopsychosocial approach central to Evergreen's philosophy, recognizing that healing is not an isolated clinical event, but a relational process embedded within social networks. For the treatment team, witnessing Claire's resilience amidst such profound disruption was both humbling and motivating. Her determination to engage, even when her own mind seemed a battleground, inspired clinicians to persevere through moments of clinical frustration and uncertainty. It reminded us that at the heart of every psychiatric case lies a human being grappling with suffering, deserving of empathy, patience, and unwavering support. This human dimension was further highlighted during moments when Claire's family shared stories of her premorbid life, her passions, personality, and relationships before the onset of illness. These narratives served as poignant reminders that beneath the symptoms was a multifaceted individual whose identity had been fractured but not obliterated. They galvanized the team's commitment to approaches that sought not just symptom control but restoration of meaning and selfhood. The emotional toll on Claire's family was palpable. They navigated a maze of fear, hope, confusion, and exhaustion, often questioning how to best support a loved one whose condition defied understanding. The center provided them with ongoing psychoeducation, counseling, and peer support opportunities, recognizing that caregiver well-being is integral to patient outcomes. This holistic care model fostered a sense of community and resilience among family members, mitigating isolation and despair. Within the clinical team, Claire's case became a source of profound reflection on the nature of psychiatric care. It challenged us to balance scientific rigor with compassionate presence, to resist the urge for premature closure in favor of embracing complexity and ambiguity. The unpredictability of her symptoms demanded flexibility, creativity, and continual reassessment, not only of treatment strategies but also of our own attitudes and biases. The ongoing therapeutic process revealed the limits of traditional diagnostic frameworks and the necessity of individualized care plans that honor the patient's lived experience. Claire's journey underscored that recovery in complex psychiatric conditions is not always linear or neatly defined. It may involve phases of stabilization, regression, and adaptation, requiring clinicians to hold space for uncertainty and hope simultaneously. This experience deepened the team's appreciation for the relational aspects of healing. Trust, empathy, and validation emerged as critical therapeutic agents, perhaps as vital as any medication or technique. Claire's willingness to share her internal struggles, even when fragmented and frightening, was met with a consistent commitment to listen without judgment, a cornerstone of the therapeutic alliance. In moments when Claire's condition deteriorated, the family's steady presence and the team's coordinated response created a safety net that prevented further harm and fostered gradual recovery. These episodes, while distressing, also highlighted the resilience inherent in human connection and the power of supportive networks to buffer psychological crises. The profound human impact of Claire's case extended beyond her immediate circle. It touched every member of the Evergreen Psychiatric Center's multidisciplinary team, instilling a collective sense of responsibility and humility. We were reminded that behind every diagnostic label is a person whose experience transcends clinical categories, whose suffering demands not only expertise but also compassion and respect. This recognition shaped our approach, fostering an environment where patient autonomy and dignity were prioritized, even amidst profound cognitive and emotional challenges. Claire's case became a living testament to the importance of seeing patients as whole beings, navigating the complexities of mental illness within social, familial, and existential contexts. The emotional resonance of this case also influenced staff training and supervision at the center. It spurred initiatives aimed at enhancing clinician resilience, promoting reflective practice, and cultivating skills in managing uncertainty and complex cases. The collective learning fostered by Claire's journey enriched the center's culture, reinforcing a commitment to patient-centered, empathetic care. In contemplating Claire's strength and the family's involvement, I was struck by the delicate interplay between vulnerability and courage that defines the human response to profound mental illness. Their shared journey illuminated the ways in which relationships between patient, family, and clinicians serve as both a foundation for healing and a mirror reflecting the depths of suffering and hope. This dimension of care, often overshadowed by diagnostic and therapeutic challenges, became central to our understanding of Claire's path. It reminded me that in psychiatry, as in all medicine, the human connection is not ancillary but essential, a source of meaning and resilience in the face of the unknown. As Claire's story unfolded within the walls of Evergreen Psychiatric Center, it became clear that her resilience and the support of her family were as vital to her care as any medical intervention. Their partnership embodied the profound truth that healing in mental illness is a shared endeavor, requiring patience, empathy, and an unwavering commitment to the person behind the symptoms. This profound human experience continues to shape my practice and my understanding of psychiatric care, underscoring the need to honor not only the complexities of the mind, but also the enduring strength of the human spirit in the face of profound adversity. In the quiet moments between therapy sessions and clinical rounds, I often found myself reflecting on Claire Donovan's case with a growing sense of unease and humility. Her condition had challenged not only our diagnostic acumen but also the very foundations of psychiatric theory that I had long relied upon. The more I delved into her symptoms and their perplexing manifestations, the clearer it became that our current psychiatric paradigms were insufficient to fully explain her experience. Traditional diagnostic categories, while useful as frameworks, felt constraining in the face of Claire's complex presentation. Her overlapping dissociative and psychotic symptoms blurred the lines we typically draw between disorders. This ambiguity forced me to reconsider the rigid boundaries of psychiatric nosology, recognizing that the human mind might not conform neatly to our classifications. Claire's condition seemed to inhabit a liminal space, resisting categorization and demanding a more fluid, integrative understanding. This realization prompted me to question the limits of our models that prioritize symptom clusters over the nuanced, dynamic processes underlying mental illness. Psychiatry often emphasizes observable behaviors and reported experiences, yet Claire's case highlighted how much remains hidden beneath the surface: subtle neurobiological mechanisms, unconscious psychological defenses, and the mysterious interplay of consciousness and identity. The mind's complexity, as revealed through Claire, felt almost unfathomable. Her episodes of dissociation, fragmentations of memory and self, hinted at layers of consciousness that evade our empirical tools. Psychotic symptoms added another dimension of altered reality perception, further complicating attempts to pinpoint etiology or prognosis. I began to appreciate that mental health disorders might not be discrete entities but rather points along a continuum of neural and psychological dysregulation. In pondering these challenges, I was reminded of emerging theories in neuroscience and phenomenology that explore consciousness as a multifaceted, dynamic phenomenon. Some propose that psychiatric symptoms arise from disruptions in neural networks governing self-awareness, emotional regulation, and memory integration. Claire's fluctuating state seemed to embody such disruptions, manifesting in ways that traditional symptom checklists could barely capture. This conceptual shift also led me to consider the possibility that some psychiatric phenomena extend beyond the reach of current scientific frameworks. Perhaps certain experiences, like those Claire endured, reflect aspects of the human mind that remain mysterious and elusive, resisting reductionist explanations. Embracing this uncertainty felt both daunting and necessary, a call to expand our intellectual humility and openness. Claire's case thus became a catalyst for broader reflection within our team. We engaged in interdisciplinary dialogues, inviting perspectives from neuropsychiatry, psychology, philosophy, and even anthropology. These conversations enriched our understanding and underscored the importance of integrating multiple lenses when confronting complex mental health challenges. Moreover, Claire's journey compelled us to rethink the goals of psychiatric care. Beyond symptom suppression, there was a need to attend to the lived experience of fragmentation and alienation, to support patients in reclaiming a coherent sense of self amidst chaos. This required therapeutic flexibility, patience, and an emphasis on building trust and meaning, rather than solely targeting diagnostic categories. The case also illuminated the ethical dimensions of psychiatric practice. When faced with profound uncertainty, clinicians must navigate the tension between offering hope and acknowledging limits. For Claire, this meant maintaining transparency about the unknowns while steadfastly supporting her quest for stability and understanding. In this process, I became acutely aware of the importance of embracing uncertainty not as a failure but as an integral part of psychiatric work. Medicine often seeks definitive answers, yet psychiatry frequently confronts ambiguity and complexity. Claire's experience underscored that clinicians must cultivate comfort with not knowing, fostering curiosity and resilience in themselves and their patients. This journey also deepened my appreciation for the therapeutic relationship as a space where mystery can be held safely. Through empathy and presence, clinicians can accompany patients through the uncharted territories of their minds, even when explanations elude us. Claire's trust in our team, despite the unpredictability of her condition, exemplified this profound human connection. The limitations of current psychiatric paradigms became a call to action for ongoing research and innovation. Claire's case highlighted gaps in our understanding of dissociation, psychosis, and their neurobiological underpinnings. It emphasized the need for integrative models that bridge psychiatry, neuroscience, and psychology, and for therapies that address the multifaceted nature of mental illness. At Evergreen Psychiatric Center, Claire's experience inspired initiatives to foster interdisciplinary collaboration and to incorporate emerging scientific insights into clinical practice. We sought to develop protocols that prioritize individualized care, recognizing that each patient's journey is unique and may defy standardized approaches. Personally, Claire's case reshaped my clinical philosophy. It reminded me to approach each patient with humility, acknowledging that our knowledge is provisional and that the mind's mysteries are vast. It reinforced the essential balance between scientific rigor and compassionate openness, between striving for answers and honoring the unknown. As I continued to care for Claire, I was reminded daily that psychiatry is as much an art as a science, a discipline that requires not only diagnostic skill but also the courage to sit with uncertainty, to listen deeply, and to hold space for the complexities of human experience. Claire's journey challenged me to expand my conceptual horizons and to embrace a more holistic, integrative vision of mental health. It taught me that sometimes the most profound insights arise not from definitive answers but from the willingness to question, to explore, and to remain open to the mysteries that define our shared humanity. In the face of such profound enigma, I resolved to carry forward the lessons Claire's case imparted, lessons of humility, curiosity, and the enduring commitment to walk alongside those whose minds chart paths beyond our current understanding. Months into Claire Donovan's care at Evergreen Psychiatric Center, the fragile balance we had come to manage was suddenly shattered. It was during a routine therapy session that the unexpected occurred. Claire, who had been relatively stable in recent weeks, abruptly collapsed into a severe psychological breakdown. The shift was dramatic and alarming. Her demeanor changed as if a storm had overtaken her mind, and she became unresponsive, trapped in a dissociative state deeper and more profound than we had previously witnessed. The room felt charged with tension as clinicians and therapists quickly mobilized to intervene. Immediate crisis protocols were enacted, prioritizing Claire's safety and attempting to stabilize her fragile mental state. The episode was characterized by a complete fragmentation of self-awareness. She was uncommunicative, disoriented, and exhibited signs of heightened distress that seemed impervious to conventional calming techniques. This sudden collapse was a stark reminder of the volatility inherent in Claire's condition and underscored the limitations of our existing therapeutic strategies. It forced us to confront the reality that despite months of intensive treatment, her illness could still spiral unpredictably, necessitating rapid, adaptive responses. In the aftermath of the breakdown, the treatment team convened to reassess Claire's care plan with renewed urgency. It was clear that a more integrative and innovative approach was required, one that transcended traditional pharmacological and cognitive behavioral methods. We sought to harness therapies that could engage Claire's mind in a more holistic manner, addressing both neurological function and psychological experience. Drawing on emerging research and interdisciplinary collaboration, we implemented a novel integrative treatment combining mindfulness-based practices with neurofeedback therapy. Mindfulness, with its emphasis on present-moment awareness and non-judgmental acceptance, offered a pathway to ground Claire during episodes of dissociation, helping her reconnect with her body and surroundings. Neurofeedback, a technique involving real-time monitoring and modulation of brain activity, aimed to enhance neural regulation and restore disrupted connectivity implicated in her symptoms. The introduction of this combined modality marked a turning point. Initially, progress was tentative. Claire's capacity to engage remained limited, and episodes of dissociation persisted. However, over the ensuing weeks, subtle shifts emerged. During mindfulness sessions, Claire began to exhibit moments of presence. Her breathing slowed, and her awareness of sensory input increased. Neurofeedback sessions revealed gradual normalization of previously dysregulated brainwave patterns, suggesting a restoration of neural stability. This unexpected rapid stabilization was both astonishing and heartening. After months of fluctuating symptoms and treatment resistance, Claire displayed a newfound resilience and coherence. Her dissociative episodes diminished in frequency and severity, and she re-engaged with individual and group therapies with increasing participation. The treatment team approached this turnaround with cautious optimism. While hopeful, we remained vigilant, aware that Claire's condition had previously defied expectations. Nonetheless, this phase brought a palpable sense of relief and renewed energy among clinicians, patients, and family alike. Claire herself expressed a tentative sense of hope. In therapy, she described experiencing moments where the fog lifted, allowing her to feel connected to herself and the world around her. She spoke of mindfulness exercises as tools that helped anchor her during distress, and neurofeedback as a mysterious but beneficial process that seemed to calm the chaos within her mind. Family members, too, noted improvements in Claire's demeanor and engagement. Their participation in therapy sessions increased, and they reported a reduction in crises at home, fostering a more supportive environment for sustained recovery. This remarkable turnaround prompted the team to refine and expand integrative treatment protocols. We incorporated tailored mindfulness practices into daily routines and scheduled regular neurofeedback sessions, alongside ongoing pharmacotherapy and psychotherapy. The multidisciplinary collaboration that had long been a hallmark of Claire's care deepened, blending evidence-based interventions with innovative approaches responsive to her unique needs. Clinically, this phase underscored the potential of integrative therapies in addressing complex, treatment-resistant psychiatric conditions. It highlighted the importance of moving beyond symptom suppression towards enhancing self-regulation and neurobiological resilience. Claire's case served as a testament to the evolving landscape of psychiatric treatment, where traditional methods intersect with emerging modalities to forge new paths to healing. The emotional impact of this period was profound. For the treatment team, the rapid stabilization rekindled a sense of purpose and possibility. It reaffirmed the value of perseverance, creativity, and openness to novel interventions in the face of daunting clinical challenges. For Claire and her family, it offered a glimpse of hope amid a long journey marked by uncertainty and hardship. As we navigated this hopeful phase, we remained mindful of the fragile nature of recovery in such complex cases. The team maintained rigorous monitoring, ensuring that any signs of relapse could be addressed promptly. We continued to emphasize patient-centered care, adapting interventions to Claire's evolving capacities and preferences. This period also stimulated ongoing reflection and research within the center. Claire's response to integrative treatment spurred interest in further exploring mindfulness and neurofeedback as adjunctive therapies for dissociative and psychotic disorders. It inspired collaborations with external research institutions aiming to elucidate mechanisms underlying these approaches and to optimize protocols for broader clinical application. Ultimately, Claire's sudden breakdown and subsequent recovery illustrated the unpredictable trajectory of severe psychiatric illness and the necessity of adaptable, multifaceted treatment strategies. It reaffirmed the central role of hope, innovation, and compassionate care in guiding patients through the darkest phases of mental illness toward the possibility of restoration and healing. In the months that followed, Claire continued to build on this foundation of stability. Her journey remained complex and demanding, but the integration of mindfulness and neurofeedback had opened new avenues for resilience and self-regulation. The therapeutic team, buoyed by this progress, remained committed to supporting her through the ongoing challenges ahead, ever mindful that in psychiatry, moments of breakthrough often emerge from the crucible of uncertainty and perseverance. Following Claire Donovan's remarkable stabilization through integrative treatments, our efforts shifted toward unraveling the underlying causes and mechanisms of her complex condition. The unexpected improvement reignited a determination within the team to deepen our understanding, combining advanced neuropsychological assessments with cutting-edge brain connectivity studies in collaboration with specialized research centers. We embarked on a series of comprehensive neuropsychological evaluations aimed at delineating cognitive strengths and vulnerabilities. These assessments examined domains such as memory consolidation, executive functioning, attentional control, and emotional regulation. Claire's performance revealed persistent, though subtle, deficits in working memory and processing speed, which fluctuated in tandem with her mental state. These findings pointed toward a neurocognitive profile marked by instability rather than fixed impairment, suggesting dynamic disruptions in neural networks responsible for integrating information and sustaining coherent self-awareness. Simultaneously, we pursued advanced neuroimaging techniques to probe the functional architecture of Claire's brain. Functional MRI studies focused on resting state connectivity aimed to identify aberrations in the default mode network, DMN, a constellation of brain regions implicated in self-referential processing and consciousness. Preliminary results indicated altered connectivity patterns between the medial prefrontal cortex and posterior cingulate cortex, core hubs of the DMN. These disruptions could underlie Claire's experience of fragmented selfhood and dissociative episodes, aligning with emerging models linking DMN dysregulation to dissociative and psychotic phenomena. Diffusion tensor imaging, DTI, further revealed microstructural anomalies in white matter tracts connecting limbic structures and prefrontal regions, implicating impaired communication pathways essential for emotional regulation and executive control. Such findings suggested that Claire's symptoms might arise from a complex interplay of disrupted network integration rather than localized lesions, reflecting the brain's dynamic connectivity landscape. In parallel, we explored psychophysiological interactions, measuring autonomic nervous system responses during dissociative and stable states. Heart rate variability and galvanic skin response data indicated heightened sympathetic activity during episodes, signifying increased physiological arousal and stress. These findings underscored the psychophysiological dimension of Claire's illness, highlighting the interplay between neurobiology and emotional experience. Throughout this investigative phase, we maintained close collaboration with neurologists and neuropsychiatrists to interpret findings within a comprehensive clinical context. The absence of overt neurological pathology reaffirmed the psychiatric nature of Claire's condition, while the nuanced neurobiological abnormalities offered promising avenues for targeted intervention. Recognizing the potential role of trauma-related neuroplasticity, we revisited Claire's psychosocial history with sensitivity and openness. Although no explicit trauma had been reported initially, subtle indicators emerged through extended interviews and collateral information suggesting possible early life stressors or adverse experiences that might have contributed to neurodevelopmental vulnerabilities. This consideration aligned with contemporary research linking trauma-induced neuroplastic changes to dissociative symptoms and altered brain connectivity. The convergence of neuropsychological, neuroimaging, and psychophysiological data fostered an integrative understanding of Claire's condition as a complex neuropsychiatric syndrome characterized by dynamic network dysfunction, physiological dysregulation, and psychological fragmentation. This multidimensional perspective bridged psychiatry and neuroscience, emphasizing the necessity of holistic assessment and treatment. From a therapeutic standpoint, these insights informed the refinement of Claire's care plan. Interventions targeting neural network stabilization, such as neurofeedback and mindfulness, were reinforced, complemented by stress reduction techniques aimed at modulating autonomic arousal. Cognitive rehabilitation exercises were introduced to strengthen executive functions and working memory, tailored to Claire's fluctuating capacities. The ongoing research collaboration also opened opportunities for Claire to participate in experimental protocols assessing novel neurotherapeutic modalities. These included transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS, targeting prefrontal regions implicated in self-regulation, and pharmacological trials exploring agents that modulate neural plasticity. Ethical considerations and informed consent were paramount, ensuring Claire's autonomy and well-being remained central. Throughout this phase, Claire's engagement and insight deepened. She expressed a growing awareness of the neurobiological dimensions of her illness, integrating this knowledge into her therapeutic journey. This empowerment fostered a sense of agency, enhancing motivation and resilience. The interdisciplinary nature of this investigative and therapeutic approach exemplified the evolving landscape of psychiatric care, wherein advances in neuroscience enrich clinical practice. Claire's case served as a living testament to the potential of bridging disciplines to unravel the complexities of mental illness and tailor personalized interventions. This period also highlighted ongoing challenges, including the need for further research to elucidate causal mechanisms and optimize treatment strategies. It underscored the importance of patience and flexibility in managing fluctuating symptoms and adapting interventions to individual trajectories. The journey toward understanding Claire's condition remains ongoing, marked by incremental discoveries and evolving hypotheses. Yet, it is propelled by a shared commitment among clinicians, researchers, and Claire herself to navigate uncertainty with curiosity, compassion, and hope. Her case continues to inspire efforts to integrate psychiatry and neuroscience, illuminating pathways toward more effective, holistic care for those facing similarly enigmatic and debilitating mental health challenges. Claire Donovan's case quickly transcended the walls of Evergreen Psychiatric Center, sparking widespread discussion within psychiatric circles and prompting critical examination of existing diagnostic frameworks and treatment possibilities. As her story became known through clinical conferences and academic forums, it highlighted the profound challenges faced when a patient's symptoms defy established categories, urging the profession to reconsider rigid classifications in favor of more fluid, integrative models. Within these professional dialogues, Claire's complex presentation, marked by dissociative episodes intertwined with psychotic features and fluctuating cognitive impairments, served as a vivid example of the limitations inherent in traditional psychiatric nosology. Experts debated whether current diagnostic manuals adequately capture such multifaceted conditions, or whether new categories or dimensional approaches might better accommodate patients whose experiences span multiple symptom domains. Her case underscored the need for psychiatry to evolve beyond symptom checklists and embrace the intricacies of individual experience, neurobiological variability, and psychosocial context. This perspective resonated with emerging trends emphasizing personalized medicine, where treatment is tailored not only to diagnoses, but to the unique constellation of factors shaping each patient's illness. At Evergreen Psychiatric Center, Claire's journey catalyzed significant reflections among clinicians about the evolving nature of mental health science. It illuminated the gap between diagnostic theory and clinical reality, compelling the team to adopt a more flexible, patient-centered approach that prioritizes the lived experience over rigid labels. This mindset shift fostered a culture of continual learning, openness to novel interventions, and humility in the face of uncertainty. Inspired by Claire's case, the center revised its clinical protocols to better accommodate complex presentations. This entailed enhanced interdisciplinary collaboration, integrating psychiatry, psychology, neurology, and social work in comprehensive assessments and treatment planning. Emphasis was placed on ongoing evaluation and adaptation, recognizing that patients like Claire require dynamic care responsive to fluctuating symptoms and evolving needs. The center also expanded its repertoire of therapeutic modalities, incorporating integrative approaches such as mindfulness, neurofeedback, and trauma-informed care, alongside evidence-based pharmacotherapy and psychotherapy. Training programs were updated to equip clinicians with skills in managing complexity and uncertainty, fostering resilience, reflective practice, and patient-centered communication. Beyond the institutional level, Claire's case influenced broader conversations about the direction of psychiatric research and education. It highlighted the necessity of bridging basic neuroscience with clinical practice, encouraging investigations into neural mechanisms underpinning dissociation, psychosis, and identity fragmentation. This translational approach aims to develop novel biomarkers and targeted treatments, advancing precision psychiatry. Clinically, the insights gained from Claire's journey reinforce the importance of holistic care models that address biological, psychological, and social dimensions. It emphasized the role of family and community support as integral components of recovery, advocating for services that extend beyond symptom management to encompass social reintegration and quality of life. On a personal level, Claire's case profoundly affected my own clinical philosophy. It deepened my appreciation for the complexity of mental illness and the necessity of balancing scientific rigor with compassionate presence. The experience underscored the imperative of embracing uncertainty, not as a failure but as an intrinsic aspect of psychiatric work that requires humility, curiosity, and perseverance. Engaging with Claire's story reminded me that each patient is a unique narrative, resisting reduction to mere diagnostic categories. It reinforced the value of listening deeply, honoring subjective experience, and tailoring interventions to individual needs and contexts. The enduring impact of Claire's case also shaped the center's commitment to research, education, and advocacy. It inspired initiatives aimed at fostering interdisciplinary dialogue, supporting clinician well-being, and promoting patient empowerment. These efforts seek to transform the challenges illuminated by complex cases into opportunities for growth and innovation within mental health care. As Claire's treatment progressed, the team remained vigilant and adaptive, aware that complexity demands ongoing attention and flexibility. Her journey became a living classroom, teaching us about resilience, the limits of knowledge, and the profound human dimensions of psychiatric illness. Ultimately, Claire's case challenged us to envision psychiatry not merely as a discipline of diagnosis and treatment but as a compassionate, evolving science dedicated to understanding the mysteries of the human mind and fostering healing amidst uncertainty. It stands as a testament to the power of interdisciplinary collaboration, patient-centered care, and the relentless pursuit of knowledge in service of those who suffer. Her story continues to inspire clinicians and researchers alike, reminding us that the path forward in mental health care lies in embracing complexity, fostering empathy, and committing to lifelong inquiry, principles that will shape the future of psychiatry for generations to come. Claire Donovan eventually reached a point where her condition could no longer be managed within the intensive care framework of Evergreen Psychiatric Center. Over time, despite the advances and the moments of clarity, her symptoms waxed and waned, and the unpredictability of her mental state made sustained inpatient care untenable. After careful deliberation, and with her family's involvement, we arranged for her discharge to a supported living environment that could provide ongoing supervision while promoting greater autonomy. Her departure from the center was bittersweet. On one hand, it marked a transition toward community reintegration and the hope for improved quality of life. On the other, it underscored the persistent challenges that had defied resolution despite months of intensive, multidisciplinary treatment. Claire's case left behind a legacy of unanswered questions, clinical puzzles that resisted neat solutions, and poignant memories etched deeply into the hearts and minds of all who had cared for her. In the quiet that followed, I often found myself reflecting on the profound impact Claire's journey had on my personal and professional life. Her story was not merely a clinical case but a haunting narrative that challenged my assumptions about mental illness, recovery, and the limits of medical knowledge. It compelled me to confront the humbling reality that despite advancements in neuroscience and psychiatry, some aspects of the human mind remain inscrutable. Claire's experience illuminated the fragile boundary between coherence and fragmentation, health and illness, known and unknown. It reminded me that psychiatry is as much about navigating uncertainty as it is about diagnosing and treating. The mystery of her condition, the oscillations, the dissociations, the resilience, became a metaphor for the delicate balance inherent in human consciousness. This haunting effect instilled in me a renewed commitment to approach each patient with profound empathy and humility. I learned that behind every symptom lies a person grappling with experiences that often transcend our understanding. Claire's journey reinforced the importance of listening deeply, recognizing the limits of our knowledge, and embracing the complexity of mental health with compassion rather than judgment. Her case also served as a catalyst for ongoing inquiry. It challenged me and my colleagues to pursue research that bridges psychiatry and neuroscience, to develop more nuanced diagnostic frameworks, and to explore innovative therapies that address the multifaceted nature of mental illness. It underscored the necessity of interdisciplinary collaboration and patient-centered care in advancing the field. Yet, beyond the scientific and clinical lessons, Claire's story was a testament to the indomitable human spirit. Her moments of lucidity, her courage in facing fragmentation, and her family's steadfast support highlighted the resilience that persists even in the darkest of psychological storms. Their collective journey was a poignant reminder that healing encompasses more than symptom remission. It involves meaning, connection, and hope. As I carry Claire's story forward, I am mindful that it is emblematic of countless others whose lives are marked by mystery and struggle. It challenges future psychiatrists and mental health professionals to embrace uncertainty, to foster empathy, and to remain committed to deepening our understanding of the human mind. It is a call to honor the complexity of mental illness and the humanity of those who suffer. In the final analysis, Claire Donovan's heartbeat, once fragmented and chaotic, resonates as a symbol of the fragile interplay between knowledge and mystery that defines psychiatry. Her journey continues to inspire me and my colleagues to approach our work with curiosity, compassion, and an unwavering dedication to those who entrust us with their care.